This meeting was called to order for 12:30 and it is now 12:45. Since there was no quorum in place at 12:30, this meeting is illegal and cannot go forward. Also, council members Vallarta, Peterson, and Lee have been meeting privately in violation of the Brown Act for the last 15 minutes.
Council members, please take their seats so that we can begin. I apologize for the lateness of this meeting, but sweetheart, your moronic argument. Your moronic argument that we cannot conduct this meeting is patently ridiculous. As for council members Vallarta, Peterson, and Lee, I doubt that they were talking city business. Let's get started. The council meeting of January 17, 2013 is called to order. Will the clerk please call for the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Vallarta?
Here.
Councilmember Peterson?
Present.
Councilmember Lee?
Here.
Councilmember Goodhart?
Also present.
And Mayor Blount?
Here. In view of the fact that we're still reworking our invocation policy, we're going to skip the invocation tonight. But only God knows how we're going to get through this meeting.
That reminds me, what's the status of my request to install a huge "In God We Trust" sign on the back wall?
In the round file with the rest of your requests.
Mr. Mayor, may I lead the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
No, I think we're going to skip the pledge too. We got to wait another month for the city attorney to give us an opinion on the constitutionality of the pledge.
Well, wait a minute. Before we get started, I want to make a motion. I want to remove the mayor, call for the election of a new mayor, because Mayor Blount is an autocrat. It's always his way or the highway. I'm fed up.
Second. You see? I told you they were violating the Brown Act, but I couldn't agree more with the motion.
Hey, Missy, sit down. Councilmember Peterson, your motion is out of order. And it seems that I was wrong. Obviously, you three idiots were conducting an illegal meeting just before the start of our meeting, and you were conspiring to overthrow me. In any event, the selection of a new mayor is not listed on tonight's agenda. Ms. Zepeda, our city attorney, please rule on whether Councilmember Peterson's motion is proper.
I don't see why not.
Well, you need some serious continuing legal education. I am ruling the motion out of order. Put it on the future agenda, and only if you think you have the votes.
Count on it.
Mr. Mayor, I noticed that we have a number of seniors in the audience. Speaking on the increasing the cost of the dial-a-ride coupons. Speaking as a senior myself, just barely. Who can barely sit through these meetings? I'd like to ask that we can take that item out of order so that these folks can get home at least alone.
That item can be continued tonight.
Yeah, looks like your friends are going to have to come home and come back some other time.
I want to remind the council of our new policy. All of your electronic devices must be turned off.
Good luck with that.
During the meeting.
Good luck with that.
Okay, now we're on to approval of the minutes. This is the time. We're going to approve the minutes that were scheduled from our last meeting.
I move approval of the minutes of the meeting of December 14th.
Second.
I want to correct the minutes to add my verbatim explanation of my motion to commence proceedings to secede from California. I don't think people are going to understand my motion unless they appreciate that I was motivated by the state's completely dysfunctional government and virtually bankrupt practices.
It was a stupid motion.
Oh, I don't know. If we become our own state, that would make me governor, right?
The minutes don't ordinarily contain verbatim transcripts of what each of us says during the deliberations. Why should we deviate from our usual practice? It's a complete waste of paper.
When I read the comments, when I made the comments, I expressly asked that they be reported verbatim in the minutes. I expected it as a courtesy.
Why are your comments any more important than any of ours?
Oh, they're not. All you have to do is ask, and yours can be included verbatim.
I agree. We all do courtesies for each other from time to time.
And as you know, I've been advocating for some time now that we transcribe the tapes of our meetings and adopt the verbatim transcripts of those minutes. Maybe that's an idea that's gaining some momentum?
Come on, guys, let's not get carried away.
Yeah, transcribing the whole meeting would be prohibitively expensive and time-consuming for the city clerk.
And hell will freeze over before I can verbatim minutes for every meeting.
Now that our meetings are streamed live over the internet and can be viewed by anybody, anytime, I'm inclined to say we don't need minutes at all. End of problem.
Well, that's stupid. And illegal. Isn't it, City Attorney?
I'm not sure if it's illegal, but it might be stupid.
I want my comments on that item included in the minutes verbatim as well. Especially the part where I explained how Councilmember Lee is making our city completely dysfunctional with his idiotic ideas.
That's not part of my motion.
You can't include only the comments you agree with and exclude others. You're violating my First Amendment rights.
Hey, Sammy, right? You're out of order. I'm not taking public comments.
No, you're out of order, and you're violating the Brown Act.
Okay, Samuela, I am not going to debate this with you.
Then stop debating with me and obey the law.
Mr. Mayor, I move to include Councilmember Lee's comments verbatim, but not those of Ms. Cagle.
Well, I'll see you in court. Then we'll see who has the last laugh.
Councilmember Vallarta, you weren't even here at the last meeting. You can't make that motion. Would the city attorney rule on that, please?
Councilmember Vallarta is entitled to make the motion to approve the minutes, but cannot vote on her own motion.
That makes no sense at all.
And there's already a motion on the floor.
It's a substitute motion. It takes precedence.
Okay, whatever you say. Councilmember Vallarta?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
No.
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Goodfart?
No. It's good heart.
Sorry.
And I vote no.
Mayor Blount?
No, motion fails. I'll move for approval of minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Now it's time for approval of warrants.
Mayor, there's a warrant on the register for $230 for reimbursement to Councilmember Goodhart for the lunch he had with two unspecified persons. I'd like the city attorney to tell us if this is a legal expense.
No, wait a second. I took the president and the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce.
I wasn't asking you.
Yeah, well, I'm talking to you. What's the problem? Nobody has complained about this before. It was legitimate city business. No one told me I couldn't host the lunch. In fact, the city manager told me it was a good idea. We've always been reimbursed for these kinds of lunches.
It's true. I didn't want to waste my time with chamber people, but I thought it would be something good for Councilmember Goodhart to do instead of hanging around City Hall and bothering the city employees.
And how about those 2 bottles of red wine? Was that necessary for city business? Couldn't you just have gone to Johnny Rockets for some burgers?
Councilmember Vallarta, I don't think Johnny Rockets would be an appropriate venue for a business lunch. Our residents expect their elected officials to show more class than that. In any event, the city attorney hasn't advised on the issue.
Why do you need her opinion?
Well, Mrs. Zepeda, is that a reimbursement? Is that legal?
Gee, that's a tough one. I could go either way.
That's just great. Remind me, what is it we're paying you for?
As long as we're on this subject, I want to object to the warrant reimbursing Councilman Peterson for her attendance at the recent League conference in Monterey. I attended every session and know for a fact that she missed every single one. I don't see why we should have to pay for her attendance.
You know, I might not have been in the sessions, but I interacted with other city officials outside the meetings. I brought back valuable gifts. I brought back valuable insights and information. That satisfies any requirement for reimbursement, doesn't it?
Don't look at me.
All right, enough. I move the warrant register excluding the lunch reimbursement for Councilmember Goodhart.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
It's bad enough you won't pay me the $250 per month auto allowance anymore due to that damn AB 1234. Now what? Do I have to eat this expense?
Come see me tomorrow, we'll take care of it.
Now we're moving on to the consent calendar. The consent calendar consists of several routine matters, including the adoption of several resolutions and ordinances.
And all the stuff you try to sneak by us.
I went to pull items D, H, I, and M, and register my no vote on the ordinance prohibiting nudity in public places. And as I said last meeting, nudity has never been a problem in this town.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull items B, C, and O. I intend to switch my vote on item B, the second reading of the ordinance allowing medical marijuana clinics in the city. You can't switch your vote. That will kill the ordinance. I'll have to keep driving 30 miles to go get my pot. Can she switch her vote?
Damn, another tough one.
I want to pull item number F.
So much for the consent calendar.
Anything else?
All my items have been pulled.
I want to speak on item K and ask that it be pulled.
Look, Missy, you know perfectly well that only council members may pull items from consent. If a council member doesn't pull your item, you can speak to the audience during audience comments at the end of the meeting.
You're violating the Brown Act again. Perhaps by some miracle, your city attorney can set you straight, though after all these years, you'd think you would know what you were doing.
Well, Mrs. Zepeda, we have to let this member of the public pull item K.
Mayor, that's a complicated question. You don't have to let the resident pull the item, but you do have to let her speak on it. But if you don't pull it, how will she speak on it? It's a conundrum.
What a circus. Anything else?
The city clerk tells me that there's no speaker signed up for the public hearing, so I'd like to move that to the consent calendar.
I object. I want to hold the hearing, even if no one speaks.
Well, that's pretty stupid. I mean, what's the point of that?
Okay, come on, guys. Get control of yourselves. We'll leave the public hearing exactly where it is. Let's vote on the consent calendar, minus items B, C, D, F, H, I, M, and O. We'll take those items later.
Councilmember Vallarta?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
I
Councilmember Goodhart?
Aye.
Mayor Blount?
Aye. 5-0 in favor of the motion. It's great to have a consensus. Time for public hearing. The public hearing is on conditional use permit for a 24-hour strip club to be located on Valley Boulevard. May we please have the staff report?
Mr. Mayor, before we start, I'd like to ask the city attorney if I have a conflict of interest. I live 450 feet from the proposed strip club.
Gee, Councilmember Vallarta, I wish you'd asked me that question before the meeting, so I could have researched it.
Well, it seems pretty simple. Maybe you could figure it out now.
Well, fine. I suggest you declare a conflict of interest and leave the room.
What? What a bunch of BS. My neighbors are very concerned about the effects of this club located right in their neighborhood. They expect me to represent their interests. I'm their elected representative. Your answer doesn't seem right to me. You're not giving me an easy answer.
Can I get a word in here? I just want to let you know that I drove by the site a few days ago. Do I need to report that?
You know, we've never had to do it before.
Well, we should report on every single contact we've had outside this public hearing.
Ms. Zepeda, is that true?
Gee, another tough one. I'll need to get back to you on that one.
Well, in any event, I drove by and I've made up my mind. I can't imagine how the Planning Commission voted on this. They must have been high on medical marijuana when they voted.
Well, don't you think we ought to hear from the speakers before you make up your mind?
No.
Yeah, quite a few of our residents have told me they are excited, actually more likely aroused, about the opening of the strip club. It's a lot closer to where I live than the club I usually go to. I've already been invited to the grand opening and have coupons for free lap dances. Sounds like women, you got an invitation.
If we could get back to my points, the people have elected us to make these decisions. I don't need to hear any more about it. Anyway, there are no speakers.
It wouldn't even matter if there were speakers. You guys never pay attention during public hearings anyway. Look at Councilmember Vallarta. She's on the phone right now.
Okay, look, sweetheart, you're out of order. Sit down, or I'm throwing you out of this meeting. Councilmember Vallarta, all electronic devices need to be turned off.
You know, I know for a fact that Councilmember Goodhart received campaign contributions from the owner of this club. Shouldn't he recuse himself from this item?
What's the point of the club owner making a contribution if Councilmember Goodhart can't even vote for it?
As far as the staff report is concerned, the planning director just got sick and went home.
I'm getting sick just listening to this.
Oops, it appears this hearing wasn't noticed. That might be why there's no speakers.
Good job. Under the circumstances, I'm going to entertain a motion to continue this hearing with direction that the hearing be properly noticed for our next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Can Councilmember Vallarta make the motion if she has a conflict and has been on the phone during the hearing?
Councilmember Vallarta?
I'm voting aye, whether you like it or not.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
No, I'm ready to deny this application tonight.
I suppose, though they're going to have to postpone their grand opening, and that's a shame.
And Mayor Blount?
Yes, motion carries. Now it's time for council member comments. These are comments for any items that are not on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor? The city clerk has received a public record request seeking copies of emails sent to me from constituents on my home computer. And the city clerk tells me I've got to disclose all those emails. And my response is, that's outrageous. People have a right to communicate with me without their thoughts being publicized, to the whole world. I'd like the city attorney to tell me whether or not I need to comply.
Councilmember Vallarta, can you give me a month to research that one?
What else is new?
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, as your representative to the County Division of the League of California Cities, I intend to vote for the candidate of my choice in the election tomorrow evening for the County Division President.
I'd like to have a formal vote on who we should support. I want the council to give you direction on who to vote for.
Well, it's not on the agenda. And I'm going to vote for whomever I want.
City Attorney, could we add this to the agenda?
Really? It's getting real late. I don't know.
I have a few comments on tonight's meeting.
It looks like you have several pages. Is it legal for Councilmember Lee to comment for 15 minutes like he usually does?
None of it doesn't get us home in time to catch the Kardashians.
It doesn't really matter anyway. I never really include Councilmember Lee's comments on the minutes anyway.
I'd like to ask the city manager, I have a final request for a report. I'd like to ask the city manager to return with a report on Councilmember Peterson's extramarital affair with the assistant city manager. Yeah, I'm very concerned about the appropriateness of this activity.
That is none of your business. And I'm going to ask the city attorney to rule on whether something like that is the proper topic for a council meeting.
I think we're all very interested to hear the details on this one.
I think we're best off if we just move to the city manager report next. City manager?
I want to inform the council that I'm switching the city's cell phone account from AT&T to T-Mobile. Council members Vallarta, Lee, and Goodhart each called me to tell me how impressed they were by the T-Mobile's commercials. And I felt certain they wanted me to make the switch.
I really like the Verizon commercials myself.
Oh, for Pete's sake. We're changing carriers because 3 of my colleagues like T-Mobile's commercials. You people couldn't be dumber. Will the city attorney please comment on whether this was an illegal serial meeting?
I really like my new AT&T BlackBerry Bold, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and conclude that it's not legal.
Hey, fine. Next item will be audience comments on items not on the agenda. You again?
Thank you. My name is Wendy Skillman.
Please state your address.
No, I won't, and you can't make me. I urge everyone here tonight, and those watching this meeting on City Channel 10, to defeat Councilmember Goodhart and the upcoming municipal election. He is an idiot.
Now, you just wait a minute. City Attorney, is this an appropriate use of the public comment period?
Hey. Wendy, you're out of order. We're not going to let you come in here and attack one of our council members in that manner.
Well then, I want to talk about the Supreme Court's decision doing away with redevelopment and encourage a recall campaign against the entire legislature if it does not enact a bill restoring redevelopment.
Wendy, stop. Okay, stop. State politics are outside of our jurisdiction. Your comments are out of order. Next.
Yes, I'm Samantha Cagill. I am the person who requested copies of all of your emails. I will soon be requesting copies of all your city-financed cellular telephone bills and all of your reimbursement requests to examine just how you are spending the taxpayers' money. Oh, and all of your calendars to see how you spend your time. We can't afford your wasteful habits during a budget crisis of
That's
the
enough,
kind
Samuel.
California is facing.
That's enough. Any other comments from the public?
I'm not done. I still have 2 more minutes. I want you to fire the planning director. He never returns my phone calls or emails. His recommendations to the planning commission are unsuitable for our town, and he doesn't belong.
Hey, look, Sammy Pammy, I don't allow criticism of our staff at these meetings. You can shut up and sit down. Hey, Ms. Zepeda?
Yeah.
May we limit audience comments to 15 minutes total, even if that prevents somebody from speaking tonight?
Mr. Mayor, anything to end these meetings earlier. And on the other hand, I am paid by the hour, so I suppose, no, we can't do that.
Good enough already. We're moving to closed session. We're going to take a recess. We'll go into closed session to discuss acquisition of real property.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to know the location of this property you intend to discuss in closed session. It's not listed on the agenda.
That is none of your business. We don't have to tell you anything about what we're going to talk about in closed session.
Mayor, how ironic is that? I know for a fact that Councilmember Goodhart leaked to the press key aspects of the discussion during last meeting's closed session. I'd like the city attorney to advise whether Councilmember Goodhart can be excluded from these closed sessions.
Heads, he stays. Tails, he goes.
Heads. I'd like to know what we're thinking of using this property for before we discuss it in closed session.
Either a skateboard park or a dog park?
Well, I'd like to discuss whether we prefer one over the other, or neither, before we go into closed session.
That's ridiculous. We'll compromise our negotiating position. The whole discussion should be in closed session.
I don't agree with you, Councilmember Goodhart. There's no point discussing buying the property if we aren't agreed on what we're going to do with it. I mean, the people have a right to hear this discussion.
Well, that's not the way we usually do it.
Oh, by the way, City Manager Silveria, when are you going to schedule my proposal to lay off half the city staff and outsource city services?
I may be a stoner, but I can count to 3 and you're not there yet.
We will now recess into closed session. If members of the public are stupid enough to stick around, we'll report any decisions when we're out of closed session.
Oh, we'll be here, and then we'll be seeing you in court.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, thank you for your patience with our long agenda and for coming out this afternoon to participate in city government. This meeting is adjourned.